Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So today we are finally going to do our deck profile for Fire King Snake Eye. I'm sure this is a video that a lot of you have been very much looking forward to in the past couple of days since this pack has come out. The day that I'm recording this is actually the same day the pack came out. It is actually immediately following the end of our stream that we did, where we opened the new pack, as well as then put together this Fire King Snake Eye list. So this list I built on stream. If you're interested in checking out the VOD, you're definitely going to want to go to the description below. If it's within the first weekish or so, 2 weeks, however long Twitch keeps VODs up after the stream, then you can find it there. But even if it's not there anymore, you can still find it on my second YouTube channel, also linked in the description below. So for this build, again, we put it together on stream and kind of learned it together. I mostly pulled data from TCG and OCG deck breakdowns, and included a lot of the more commonly used cards kind of across both formats. I hedged a little bit because Fire King is in a spot right now where it actually has support that in Master Duel that it is not in the TCG. Notably, the Fire King Ulcanix, which is down here. This card can be played alongside the original Fire King High Avatar Garunix in Fire King Snake Eye, and indeed a lot of OCG builds actually do that. However, upon doing some research, because I was curious, I was like, okay, is there a combo line that Ulcanix can get you in Fire King Snake Eye that actually utilizes the Snake Eye stuff? And unfortunately, it does not seem like there is. At least not that I could find at a quick cursory glance. So that's why I haven't crafted Ulcanixes or Garunix. I will say that in a pure Snake Eye list, Fire King list, you would definitely want these. You would also definitely want more Ponixes and more Garunixes as well. A lot more URs to play pure Fire King than Fire King Snake Eye. But, yeah, so if you did happen to pull, Ulcanix and you already own the, because I don't think this was in the pack, the old Garunix, then it is certainly an extender engine. It does have its own unique turn on combo lines, but at that rate, you're pretty much doing the pure Fire King line, just in this build instead, right? And it's like, do you really want to play, 3 more main deck cards that are only good for making a suboptimal turn 1 end board? I ultimately opted not to try them out. However, I could see in the future builds playing those cards still doing pretty well, right? Because that has happened in the OCG. So yeah, for this build, it's a lot like a pure Snake Eye build in a lot of ways, because the Fire King exclusive package really isn't that much of the deck in the grand scheme of things. I think it's 7 cards. You have 1 Ponix, 1 Arvata, 1 Garunix, that's 3, 4, 5 for 2 Kieran. You could play 3. It's definitely not bad to open with this card a lot of the time, but I opted for 2 just to start off with. Island, Sanctuary, and then Burn. So I think it's actually 8 cards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So, not as many Fire King cards as you might expect. However, they do add a significant amount to the end board, right? And indeed, the first duel that we will show you for this video in the deck profile will actually demonstrate the turn 1 uninterrupted combo line. So if that's what you're here to look for, definitely look out for that first duel. So as far as what I think of this deck, because I had a lot of people on stream ask me, do you think this is the best deck? Do you think this is better than pure Snake Eye? Do you think this deck is tier 1? As far as if this is the best deck, I think the first question to answer would be, is this deck better than pure Snake Eye? Because I gotta be honest, I'm not even as certain as I was earlier this week that pure Snake Eye is still the best deck. After having a less than stellar playtesting session playing with only 1 Ash, I did find that maybe Rescue Ace might just be overall consistent enough to be the best tier 1 deck. So, alright, let me get back to the question, is this better than pure Snake Eye? I don't think it's strictly better, but I don't think it's strictly worse either. I think pure Snake Eye might end up being more consistent in the long run, which sounds really weird to say with Ash and Wanted at 1, but I definitely don't think it's necessarily strictly worse or better. For that reason, I can't really call it the best deck of the format either. I think if we're in a world where Snake Eye is still the best deck, then pure Snake Eye is probably ultimately going to still be very slightly better than Fire King Snake Eye. However, really only time will tell as far as that goes. I suspect this is probably a tier 1 deck. If it's not tier 1, it's like the top of tier 2 probably. But that's kind of where I'm at with it right now after my initial kind of play session here. So, yeah, the main difference here as far as like the main deck goes is just that, again, we have the Fire King cards in the main, which definitely do contribute as far as like your turn 1 end boards. They also make going second a little bit easier, so there is that to note as well. Extra deck is more or less the same as you would expect in a pure Snake Eye build that's on all links, but again, there are a couple notable differences. We are running 1 copy of Gurnik's Eternity. However, you could also not play this card. It didn't come up once for me, and I've seen enough tournament builds that are not on it at all to think that, yeah, if you're like really trying to budget out and only play the exact URs that you need to, you can not play this rank 8. I think overall it's a good card. I definitely want to try it out in some other builds as well because it is generic, but overall, yeah, I think this is fine if you don't have it. Sunlight Wolf. This is a card that I have generally not liked in pure Snake Eye, so what is it doing here? Well, as you'll see as part of the turn 1 combo line, you actually use this to add the Kieran back to your hand. The Kieran in hand is important for helping you dodge effect negates and stuff like that, so that's why the Sunlight Wolf is here. It does actually have a role in the turn 1 combo. Other main difference is actually kind of that we're on Ambler, which we were in the past, and a lot of Snake Eye builds were still on. But you'll notice here we're playing both Ambler as well as Raging Phoenix. That's because on turn 1 you do want to end on Ambler a lot of the time. Both the effects here are a lot more relevant because you're destroying your own cards a lot more often than you would for pure Snake Eye, right? So it makes sense that the Ambler effects come up enough more often. Plus also, the Sacred Fire King Garunix is very similar to Salamangreat Raging Phoenix, right? If your fire monster is destroyed, it brings itself back, then it can come back with an attack buff. It's actually better than Raging Phoenix in that regard because not only does it come back and get an attack buff, it pops a fire monster from your deck, Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast, from your deck in the process. So you can like pop a Kieran, bring back a Ponix, get another Search, probably for the Skyburn, and then you are good to go with even more advantage, right? So in a lot of ways, the reason you play Ambler is not only for the effects, but because you effectively set up Ambler and a card that's a better version of Raging Phoenix in your graveyard. So it's kind of like having both. That is how the turn 1 inboard. I will say this much. If you open just Snake Eye Ash and don't get interrupted, I think the end board for Fire King Snake Eye is probably slightly better than the end board for pure Snake Eye. I don't know if this deck can play through hand traps as well. I don't know how much just yet the limits will affect consistency. That is all stuff that will have to come with testing. But I do think this deck is quite good, definitely, for sure. And I'm possibly interested in trying out some other Fire King variants as well, if they don't cost too many URs. I don't really have plans to play it pure, because that is, I think, just far too many URs for, frankly, a version of this deck that's probably not as good as Snake Eye. But we'll see. We'll see where things go. Okay, is there anything else I need to say about the list? I don't believe so. Let's break it down card by card, and then we'll watch these duels. So we're on 2 Effect Veiler, 1 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Snake Eye Oak, 1 Legendary Fire King Ponix, 3 Snake Eyes Poplar, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and a Joyous Spring, 1 Fire King Avatar Arvata, 3 Diabell Star the Black Witch, 1 Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, 1 Sacred Fire King Garunix, 2 Fire King High Avatar Kieran, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Sinful Spoils of Subversion, 3 Bonfire, 1 Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, 1 Fire King Island, 1 Temple of the Snake Eye, Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, rather, 1 Fire King Sanctuary, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 1 Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, 1 Fire King Skyburn, and then 3 Infinite Impermanents. That's going to be our main deck. Alright, for the extra, we're on 1 Garunix Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings, 1 Linkuriboh, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Salma Great Sunlight Wolf, 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 SP Little Knight, 2 Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames. 2 is not required, but I do think it is probably optimal. We have 1... Where is it? Here it is. Amphibious Stormship Amblewhale, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, 1 World Sea Dragon Zealantis, 1 Salmon Great Raging Phoenix, and then 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. There is our list. Let's see some duels. Alright, so our first opponent is going to be on Sky Striker, of course utilizing the new support. And as mentioned earlier, this will show you a pretty typical turn 1 combo line when you open Snake Eye Ash. Actually, this hand is just cracked. We opened a lot of pretty good hands during this session. So, go normal summon Snake Eye Ash. You'll want to use the effect to add Poplar, special summon the Poplar. But rather than Temple, we're going to add Original Sinful Spoils here. Link off Poplar to summon your Linkuriboh. Then, of course, you'll want to place the Poplar into your spell trap zone via its own effect. Now we can activate Original Sinful Spoils, send the Poplar, and then summon Ponix from the deck. Ponix is going to add Fire King's Sanctuary, the continuous spell. We'll activate that and then place the Fire King Island onto the field zone. Using the island, we can pop the Ponix and add Sacred Fire King Garunix, summoning it off its own effect, then activating it to pop the Kirin from our deck. Kirin will summon the Ponix back to the field. Now, we're going to activate Snake Eye Ash and send Linkuriboh for Flamberge. We can link off Ponix with Flamberge in order to summon out the Salaman Great Sunlight Wolf. This will activate our Flamberge effect. You'll want to summon one of those monsters into Sunlight Wolf's zone. That'll activate the effect, and now you can add back Kirin for plays later on your opponent's turn or during your next turn. From there, we'll link off the Poplar and the Ash for IP Masquerena. And now we can link IP Masquerena with the Sacred Fire King Garunix to summon Promethean Princess, the Bestower of Flames. From there, we'll use Promethean Princess to bring back the Flamberge. And then Flamberge's effect will place IP into our spell and trap zone. From there, we'll link off the Sunlight Wolf with the Promethean Princess to go for our Link 4 Amblewhale. And there you have it. That is the turn 1 combo line. So again, this board does not look any different, right? Aside from the Fire King spell cards being on the field, it's just Amblewhale, Flamberge, IP. You're probably thinking, well, how is this any different? How could this be any better? One, we do have the Kirin in hand, which again can be used to potentially dodge negates or destruction effects, and proc some of your Fire King cards. You can also use this for follow-up, it's definitely not bad. But also in our graveyard, as pointed out earlier, we not only have the Promethean Princess, but also the Garunix. So the thing about Kirin as well is that when it's destroyed, you don't just summon, you actually get to pop a card on the field. So when you bring back Garunix, you can activate its effect, send another Kirin from deck to the graveyard to get back your Ponix and get a search, and then also pop a card into your opponent's field. Again, remember also too that Garunix comes back and gains a lot of stats, or at least a decent amount of stats, much like Raging Phoenix. So again, not only is this like ending on both Amblewhale and Raging Phoenix in a way, but you get an extra pop, an extra body, an extra search as well. And this is what I meant when I said that the Fire King Snake Eye turn 1 end board can actually just be a straight improvement of the pure Snake Eye end board at times. But yeah, they lead with Upstart. Pretty obvious it's Sky Striker just from that. Afterburners targeting the IP Masquerena. I will then chain the IP. I'm just going to make an Appaloosa here, just to have something that's generally good and can offer some more negation during the opponent's turn. I think it's better than just going for like SP, right? Also sets up our Amblewhale in the graveyard. Alright, Flamberge, going to bring back Ash and Poplar. I would not bring back Ponix with Flamberge, because if you try to bring back if you bring back the Garunix, right, and then try to pop a Kirin, you won't get a pop off the Kirin because you won't have a Fire King in the graveyard to bring back anymore. Okay, so here I called Cross-Out Designator, or I called Callby with Cross-Out Designator because I was going to get Harvey's Feather Duster anyway, right? I did that in case I needed to Ash Engage and they had the Called By, but I should have probably sent Triple Tactics Talent instead, because they probably would have used Call By already if they had it. Also, you'll note that the bonus effect of Fire King Sanctuary came up here. that I could destroy a fire monster in my hand or field instead of my Fire King Island getting destroyed. This is important because while Fire King Island is a very good card, it is a notable drawback in the first line of text. If this face-up card in the field is noticed into the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters you control. So you definitely got to watch out for that. If you're looking to use SP Little Knight against this deck, the field spell also for that reason is not bad to go after. But again, here we were able to use the Sanctuary to stop the Duster from popping it. So, getting back my Garunix, I decided to pop the Arvata instead of the Kirin because I didn't need to destroy a card in my opponent's field. And here they do end up having the Engage. That's actually an alternate art, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, which I will say, the art looks really, really cool on this. I like it in the alt art Kagari quite a bit. I am going to Ash Blossom it, of course, because they would get both a search and a draw here. They do have certainly enough spell cards in the yard, right? So, Cynos is going to pitch. I'm going to chain Maxi, and then they just concede here. So, yeah, that is, like I said, a pretty typical turn 1 combo line for the Fire King Snake Eye deck, and you also got to see how the board plays out against the opponent making plays there too. So I think overall, a pretty good duel to start with. But of course, we do have more to watch. Let us see the next one. Okay, continuing our trend of new decks, new cards, we're playing against Valmonica this time. Valmonica, like I said, of course, being one of the newer archetypes from, actually the newest archetype from the Secret Pack. Here we are going to be taking the second turn. They're going to lead with the field spell Valmonica, the, hang on, we looked this up on stream. Valmonica, the Agatho, oh my god, I looked up the pronunciation of this on stream and I'm actually going to remember it now. The Agathococological, that's what it is. The Agathococological voice. By the way, this is a real word. It means to consist of both good and evil, which is very apt word to describe this archetype. Celtrice Valmonica coming down. I'm going to use the Imperm. I also sure I butchered that card's name. I didn't even try. Celatrice, I suppose? Yeah, we'll Imperm that to stop the search. Valmonica Invitaire. I'm going to use the Maxi here because this card can special, even though I'm pretty sure they're just going to set up a Pentascale. We'll Maxi here anyway, just in case they were about to special. So, alright, there's the Angelo, setting up the Demono, and yeah, they're not going for the Baguska here because they don't want to give me multiple draws. So here I'm going to lead by normalling Poplar, mostly because I have the Diabell in hand. I just want to see if they interact with the Poplar or anything it does. Of course, also by normaling Poplar, we get to not only add Original Sin, but then put it in the Spell Trap Zone, and then I can send it away for the Original Sin. They are going to chain Maxi, though, so not the most ideal. I think all the same, I'm still going to pull, or I'm going to pull out the Eponyx, that's right, because I wanted the Skyburn. And it was at about this time that I had a pretty sinister idea. I was like, hold on a second. I have Diabell. What if I gave them one more draw, set Subversion, activate Skyburn, pop Ponix, pop one of their Pendazone cards, and now we can Subversion and push their card into the Pen Zone, meaning this Pendulum deck can no longer set up a scale. And I think for Valmonica especially, like, that's pretty brutal. Because they only gain resonance counters while you have... I think while you have another... while you have another fairy monster in your other Pendulum Zone. And not only is this a spellcaster, it's also notably not a Pendulum monster, meaning they can't Pend summon, they can't do their Pend effects to get the resonance counters, which is like the whole point of their deck. It's pretty cool. It was pretty mean what I did to my opponent here. But at the same time, it's not like, you know, we're not on very many resources ourselves. Like, it's kind of what we had to do to not just get wrecked here. Well, I say that, but I don't know. This has been my only game against Valmonica so far, so... Garunix here was actually not, like, a super great draw. I would have definitely preferred either Avarta... I think just about any of the other Fire King monsters, because the thing about Garunix is if you pop it with the Fire King Island, it just doesn't really do anything. Like, yeah, you get to search off the island, but Garunix, you can't pop it from hand and then summon it from graveyard. It has to already be in the graveyard to be summonable from the graveyard. So, like I said, it doesn't do that much here specifically, but yeah, from here I'm just going to activate the Fire King Island and then they just concede. Oh, yeah. Pushing their main deck monster into the pen zone was, it felt very, very much like bullying, but I mean, like I said, it's something we had to do, I think, to ultimately win this game. But, yeah, I got a couple more duels to check out. Let's see the next one. Okay, let's see a game played against the mirror match this time. We've shown enough of us bullying rogue decks. Let's see what a mirror looks like. We're gonna be taking the first turn. Hand's looking pretty good. We even already opened the Fire King Island, so we can search the Skyblaze off of Ponix, which is nice because that'll give us some extra disruption potentially for the opponent's turn. Here they've got a Veiler for the Ash. I am going to use the Crossout. It's a bit of a shame if I had opened Ash instead of Poplar, which again, we're only on one Ash, but 3 Poplar. Then if they had Veilered Ash at that point, and I still had Bonfire in hand, I could have just let the Veiler go, and then save the Crossout for something else and just Bonfire for Poplar and continue my line from there. One thing I will say is that I didn't put a Nibiru in this deck, which I usually do almost every single time. And it was a little nerve-wracking sometimes having Crossout being like, oh wait, that's not Nib insurance. So I think in the future I would definitely make room for a Nibiru. But yeah, I think all in all this build performed pretty well. The Divine Temple of the Snake Eye you definitely don't have to play. Like, because you don't want to play it over Fire King Island, because then all of your stuff gets destroyed and that's no good. That said, though, I think it might still be worth running, because I did have a few games where I kind of just did Snake Eye Light. Excuse me. Either because I got interrupted or, like, I opened... Because here's the thing with this deck, right? If you open Poplar and nothing else, you can normal Poplar and make Fire King plays, but you don't get to access your Snake Eye engine if you do that. And honestly, the Fire King board you make in that situation is, like, so much worse than a Snake Eye board that... Here's the thing, and this is kind of why I struggle to say that, you know, this is the best Fire King variant, is that in this build, if I'm opening Poplar and nothing else, I'm just going to go for a regular Snake Eye line. I'm not going to go out of my way to do any Fire King stuff, unless I already opened, like, Island or Sanctuary too, right? So... here, for the first time I can remember at all, we actually get punished by the draw phase Imperm, or the drawn for a turn Imperm against the Flamberge. Some people have asked, like, Hex, why do you Flamberge during the draw phase? If you wait until they play a card, you won't get Impermed. True, but if my opponent had Imperm in their opening hand, they would have used it on my turn, right? So my thought process is... It's more likely for them to have a triple attack in their opening hand than an Imperm off the top, which is why I typically Flamberge during the draw phase. However, here, they just happen to have top decked Imperm. It's actually not going to end up being that huge of a deal, though. I'm going to fire off the Maxi as soon as the Diabell is added. They've got a Crossout for it, which is fine, you know. Just means we have to have a real game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know. Always up for that. Gonna pitch Diabell for Diabell. And I'm actually going to activate the Promethean Princess in response to this. I'm going to pop both the Flamberge as well as the Diabell on field. That way they can set Original Sin, but not have a face-up card, right? Yep, there it is. Alright, Garunix will activate. Flamberge will also activate. Alright, there's Poplar and Ash, and then Garunix brings itself back. Garunix F. Ash F, and then finally Poplar F. Poplar F, because I think I care about that search the least. Poplar grabs Subversion for next turn. Ash grabs Oak for next turn. Now, Garunix, I decided to pop the Kirin, but I made a misplay here. I was chatting, I was streaming and chatting, and I totally forgot, oh yeah, that's that card's original, so then they can just activate it. Oops. But here they add Ponix, and not Snake Eye Ash for some reason, which is really good for me. I was actually a little worried they already had a Snake Eye Ash in hand, because they have not used their normal summon, by the way. They have not normal summoned at all. Oh, but then they popped the Diabell. Oh, but they have another card, too. Right. Wait, hang on. Garunix, Kieran, Ponix. Yeah, I think this card is still unknown. So I did misplay a little bit. Like, if that last card had been, you know, live plays, it definitely would have not been very good for me. Oh, and here's the other thing that's kind of brutal. They get to pop my Fire King Island now, which will, of course, in turn also destroy all the monsters on my field. I'm going to throw out a Kieran here, because I threw it out here because I thought I would get the second effect. For some, again, chatting, totally forgot that I already used it. So, no point in doing that. Oh, and I even used the wrong... Wow, I misplayed my opponent's turn left and right here. I even clicked the wrong effect of Amble Whale. I did the pop and not the summon. And just popped that Flame Bridge I just placed. Oops, but... Alright, opponent does actually not have any more follow-up plays here. And in spite of myself, just misplaying left and right, we are actually going to be able to come back out on top here. Thanks to that Oak that we added for follow-up. We can normal summon the Snake Eye Oak, F to add the Ash. Opponent's got a Max C. Not ideal, but we're just going to have to play through it and go for lethal anyway. Obviously looking to do it in as few summons as possible here. Ash F will add the Poplar. Poplar F, of course, will summon itself, and then add the Temple. This here is a game. We had a game here where Temple came up, and it was very useful. So that's the thing, right? Like, yeah, if you've got Fire King Island in play, you're never going to play the Temple. Also, it was a misplay to not triple attack first, but it's not going to matter. Yet again, me just misplaying left and right, and it actually just doesn't matter. Well, it does. Again, you should not misplay. That's the thing that you should do. Again, not misplay. But yeah, in the long run, it's we're still gonna, spoiler alert, win this game. It's gonna happen in like a minute, but yeah, Temple, I don't know. I kind of think it's still worth it. Just because, again, I had a lot of situations where it came up. Not only ones like this, but also, like I said, ones where I just did Fire or Snake Eye plays. So I would still play it, personally. I could see a world where if we had more Ash than wanted, or just more Ash in general, like the OCG, where I would not feel the need to do that. But again, you just gotta ask yourself, like, if you open Poplar and nothing else, like, is it really better to go for a mediocre Fire King board or just a full Snake Eye board? And I'm gonna go with a full Snake Eye board. Got one more duel to show off. Let's finish with that. Okay, final opponent is going to be on 8-Axis. 8-Axis. Not a deck you see a whole lot. Although I wonder if they busted this out because they got the trade-ins from the... Oh, I didn't even think about that. Because I think that this person is on trade-ins. So I wonder if they were like, oh, hell yeah, I finally don't need to spend 90 UR craft points just to try trade-in. Let me do it here. We are going to get Shifter this game, as you can see here. It's going to be the first action. So I'm going to Ash for the Poplar. Poplar F to special itself, right? They're going to use an Ash Blossom. In a lot of circumstances, I would have been fine with this, but I mainly used Cross out here because I wasn't really certain I would get another opportunity to use it. Plus, I really would like to have the Divine Temple up here. This is going to be another game where Divine Temple comes up. So I was like, yeah, I'll Cross out here. That's fine. Notably, we can also hand her up with a triple attack. And we are greeted with Double Gamma and Fairy Tail Luna. Shoot, I didn't pause quickly enough, but yeah. Fairy Tail Luna alongside Double Gamma. That combined with the deck count and the D-Shifter did kind of clue me in that it was probably going to be 8-Axis, but of course we are always going to put back the Fairy Tail Luna here. I'm going to activate Divine Temple, set up the Oak, and then just pass it over to them. And, oh yeah, they don't even try, that's right. Because I was like, here's the thing. You know, it might be kind of interesting to figure out how we're going to OTK under a Gamma, but I guess it's actually not that interesting, right? When we already have Ash and Poplar on the field. Yeah, and Bonfire in hand, it wouldn't have been that hard. So, not that they knew we had Bonfire in hand, but they probably knew they were just screwed anyway. So, okay, I think that's actually going to do it for this video. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope that you were looking forward to this and that this video was helpful to you. Let's move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for supporting there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.